Stand by, everyone. Smile. Yeah, I got you.
Welcome to the Augusta-Richmond County Candidate Forum, sponsored by Harrington Financial Services.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jay Jeffries, and I'll be your moderator for the Augusta-Richmond County Candidate Forums over the next 3 nights. We're coming to you live tonight for the Marriott Downtown Augusta. The staff here has made it possible for the candidates, myself, and the crew to observe social distance. We partner with the Augusta Metro Chamber of Commerce to host and produce these forums. Our goal tonight is to help you make an informed decision before heading to the polls on June the 9th. Now, tonight you'll hear from candidates vying for Commission of District 1. There are 10 seats on the Augusta-Richmond County Commission. Members are elected to 4-year terms every 2 years. Half of the positions are up for election. The position is nonpartisan. This year, there are 3 contested seats: District 1, District 3, and District 9. Tonight, we're focusing on District 1, currently represented by Bill Fenoy. Term limits prevent him from seeking a 3rd term. District 1 runs along the Savannah River and represents most of the downtown businesses, including the Georgia Cyber Center and the Medical District. Now, there are 10 seats on the Augusta-Richmond County Commissions. There, members are elected to 4-year terms every 2 years. Half of the positions are up for election. Now, this portion is a nonpartisan. This year, there are 3 contestant seats: District 1, 3, and 9. Tonight, we're focusing on District 1, currently presented by and held by the position of Bill Fenoy. Term limits prevent him from seeking a 3rd term. District 1 runs from the Savannah River and, of course, from the downtown business or district, including the Georgia Cyber Center. Now, there are 5 candidates vying for that District 1 seat. All 5 are here with us tonight, except for one, unfortunately, with family obligations. That would be Shonda Griffin. All 5 were here as far as for tonight. There are Dolly Jones Frazier, a retiree from East Augusta. Jordan Johnson, he's the head of the Richmond County Democratic Party. Von Ponce is a community activist. And Michael Thurman is owner of the retail property business. Now, these candidates will field a variety of questions from a 2-panel discussion panel. Now, the panelists are Susan McCoy, a reporter from the Augusta Chronicle. Now, she has been covering the Augusta Chronicle and also the Richmond County Commission for about 10 years or so. Susan, could you tell us a little something about yourself before we get started this evening?
Well, I am an Augusta native, and I moved back home in 2010, and I certainly enjoy covering the local government here. And it's good to see y'all, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say tonight.
All right, thank you very much. And a familiar face that goes around the CSRA, this is Sue Parr, and she's the president and the CEO of the Augusta Metro Chamber of Commerce. We're co-hosting tonight's event along with the chamber. And Sue, you have a few folks you would like to give recognition to this evening, right?
Good evening, candidates. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. On behalf of the Augusta Metro Chamber and the 1,200 businesses and organizations that we represent across the region, we appreciate the opportunity to help inform our members and voters of the region on your candidacies. I'd also like to thank WFXG, Fox 54, Jay and Denise and the team. Y'all have been great to partner with and work on these forums to bring them to the widest audience possible as we move into an election season next week. I also would like to, on behalf of the Augusta Metro Chamber of Commerce, announce our sponsor for this evening and the next 2 nights. Sherman and Hemstreet, which is a local real estate company, is generously generously supporting our candidate forums this week, and we are much appreciative of their support. Sherman and Hemstreet is one of our oldest real estate firms, going back to 1924 here in the community. They're a full-service real estate firm, specializing in both commercial and residential sales. So I hope that we can all give a virtual round of applause to our sponsor this evening, Sherman and Hemstreet. Thank you, Jay.
All right, thank you, Sue. And of course, we'd like to add to that list there on behalf of WFXG Fox 54. We also like to thank the Harrington Financial for sponsorship of tonight's coverage. Now, tonight's forum is going to be very straight and forward. Candidates will begin with a 2-minute opening statement. They'll have a series of questions posed by the panelists that you just heard from, and each candidate will have only 2 minutes to respond. And then they'll wrap up things with a 2-minute closing statement from everyone. Now, candidates, I want to give you the instructions there for you. We have our various cameras throughout the venue here. If you see this yellow light, and we'll turn this yellow light on there for you in there, that means that you have exactly 30 seconds remaining in your topic, in your response. If you see the red light, that means your time is up. I don't want to have to go in and say, okay, stop it, but be mindful of the other candidates that's on the panel here for you this evening. Now, we're going in alphabetical order, so there's no problems with that, based on the last name, and then rotate from there. That means Dolly Jones Frazier, good evening to you. You have the honors of kicking things off in the opening statement. Your time starts now with 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Dolly Jones Frazier, and I am a Swainsboro, Georgia native. Have been living in Augusta for 18 years. And of course, I live in East Augusta. Been living in the same place for the 18 years, so I've gotten a lot of experience on what's going on in District 1, as well as some of the other areas. My church is in Harrisburg. And of course, because I like to move around, I get a chance to see much of the district even before I decided to run. I decided to run about 2 years ago, actually, but because someone else was in the office at the time, it wasn't the time to go forth with it. However, I did share my desires to run. And the reason I want to run to be a commissioner is because of District 1, is because of my eyewitness experience of seeing what's going on there. There's much that needs to be corrected, or some things may need to be implemented that doesn't need to be corrected, just need to be implemented. So since I've been living there, I'm the spouse of the late Mr. Arthur Lee Jones. He was the coach and school teacher of T.W. Josie High School. I have 2 sons, 2 grandsons. I am the 8th of 14 children, of which now 7 are still living. And I grew up in Swainsboro. However, I moved for a better way of life. I went north, and I worked a variety of jobs, which I'll share some of that with you later. And I'm retired from New York City Police Department as an administrator, and I worked a number of years New York State Department of Labor.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Frazier, there for you. Opening statements now by candidate number 2, that's Jordan Johnson. Your time starts now.
Thank you. Well, good evening. First, before I begin my opening statements, I'd like to say that my heart goes out to the families that was affected by COVID-19, and also to the peaceful protesters who are marching through downtown Augusta as we speak. I hear you, I understand you, and I'm with you. You know, I'm from Augusta, born and raised here in Augusta, raised in District 1. I'm running for Augusta Commission because I understand the needs of the people of the 1st District. District 1 presents a picture none other like in our city. On one end of our district, you have a beautiful downtown that is thriving, a downtown that's different from the downtown of yesterday. But on other ends of our district, you have neighborhoods like East Augusta that still floods when it rains. You have neighborhoods like Sand Hills that has seen their neighborhoods go down with blight and dilapidated homes and lots for the past 20 to 30 years. You have areas in South Augusta that have been forgotten as a part of District 1. And of course, Laney Walker Boulevard and the surrounding areas only mentioned when we speak of gentrification. Now is the time for leadership in District 1 Now is the time to be intentional about what we want our community to look like, what we want the next decade in Augusta to look like. I am that leader that's going to lead District 1 into its future, and not just for District 1, but all of Augusta. I know these issues because I've seen them firsthand working with my children at Boys and Girls Club. I know these issues from working here at home over the past decade. I've been working in Augusta on the political scene since before I could even vote. And so my heart is pure. My intentions are pure. I want to serve you as your commissioner because I understand what we're going through. We together are District 1. But I believe that together, with policy and with sound leadership, we can usher this district into the future that we know it well deserves. And so my name is Jordan Johnson. I look forward to serving you as your District 1 commissioner. I believe that we can put people first while building a brighter future and put them over silly politics. God bless you and thank you.
All right, thank you very much there. Candidate number 3, this is Von Ponce. You have your opening statement for 2 minutes, and your time starts now.
Thank you so much. And I would like to also tell everyone that I'm so excited and encouraged to be here tonight with you all and with my colleagues. We all have the intention of making sure that District 1 gets their needs addressed and that they have someone that represents them in a way that is reflective of all the diversity that we have in this district. Let me first say that when I say I'm Dr. Von Ponce, I also want to make sure that you understand that my PhD is in business. I'm also the founder and director of a nonprofit for our community for foster children called Savon's Village. I have spent 15 years as a college professor. I've been an educator for 20 years, and I've been in human resources for over 25 years. I've spent over 3 decades of my life working with people, managing people, coming up with strategies, finding solutions, doing research. But what's most important for me that you need to know is that you have the opportunity right now to pick a candidate that can best represent your needs, which means this person needs to have lived many of the levels of life within this district. This district is very broad with the needs that need to be addressed, the levels of income, and the desires and the dreams that are being expressed by our children as well as the adults. I'm the person that has lived most levels of life within this district. So I was born here, I was raised here, I've survived here, I've raised a family here. I worked within this district in healthcare, education, and business. So I can relate to many of the issues, but also many of the dreams and goals that the people within this district have. We have a very unique opportunity to pick someone that reflects our diversity, but also has the experience that is needed to be an effective leader that not just comes up with solutions, but also we are able to relate to you, to the things that you say, but also the things that you do not say. I'm Dr. Von Ponce, and I'm running to be your candidate for District 1.
Thank you very much. And of course, our final candidate number 4, this is Michael Thurman. Michael, you have 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
Hi, I'm Michael Thurman. I grew up in South Augusta. I attended Butler High School and Augusta College. I'm married to my wife Evangela for 17 years, and we have 3 school-aged children, twin boys who are 5 years old and a daughter who's 11, and they all go to Richmond County Public Schools. We must make sure that all children in Richmond County are able to attend great schools regardless of their income. At the age of 18, I started buying houses in the Apple Valley subdivision. I bought the only house that I could afford was one that nobody else wanted. I was working part-time at UPS, and I was determined that I was going to make something of myself. And so I very diligently took this ugly house and made it a house that I would be proud to call my home. So I lived in Apple Valley for 10 years, and then after buying a couple houses there, I then moved my attention to the Central Avenue area. And instead of buying individual houses all over the place, I started buying in one section. And Channel 12 was kind enough to do a report on that a few months ago, where buying dilapidated homes, working with the sheriff's office and with the concerned citizens, I was able to take this street that had murders and kidnappings on it in 2015, 16, 17, and turn it into a house, a neighborhood that now people say they feel safe and secure living in. I'm a member of the Housing and Community Development Board, so I have learned about loans and grants that are available for people to purchase dilapidated homes. And we need to make sure that you realize that you can help solve some of the problems with the dilapidation in Richmond County. As a member of Sheriff Roundtree's Advisory Board, I've been able to do ride-alongs with police officers, so I've seen firsthand how police officers react with the citizens and they in turn with them. I am not a politician, I'm a problem solver. I'm a father, and I'm a native Augustan, so I want very much to fix our problems. So please vote for me, Michael Thurman, for Commissioner for District 1. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And thank you all candidates there for your opening statements. Since we got all that out, now we're going to dig a little bit deeper. We're going to get into the issues and the information. And we're going to start off with the panelists there. And Sue Parr will pose the first question, and we'll continue to flow in our alphabetical order there in the response. And Mr. Johnson, you are the first to be attacked by Sue Parr.
Our first question this evening: what do you consider to be the primary components of the role of a commissioner?
Thank you for that question. You know, the Augusta Commission is a unique body. We are the policymakers for the city. I think that ever so often we've forgotten that our job is to set policy for the city. It's to set policy that would benefit quality of life projects. It would set policy that would drive the future of the city. But not only that, but we are the cheerleaders for this city. We are the ones who will determine whether or not folks pack up and go to North Augusta or go out to Columbia County because of what we do from the commission chambers. Our roles as commissioners should not be to micromanage department heads and micromanage other individuals. It is to set policy. It's to set the tone for the city. It's to work in sync with the mayor's office, to work in sync with department heads, listen to the community, engage its citizens, and get the job done for Augusta. And I think for so long we have maybe forgotten that, but I do feel as though that's the job of a commissioner. It's to set the tone for the city. It's to set the tone for policy making. Without a vision, the city isn't going anywhere. So the commissioners have to take an intentional and a hands-on role in setting the future for this city up, and not just flying by at night. We have to know what we're doing. We have to know what agenda we want to push. And the agenda that I'm pushing is an agenda for a brighter future. That means putting people first over politics. That means making sure that food deserts are solved in Augusta. That means making sure that blight is eradicated. And that means making sure that communities are given back to the people who built them. And that's the role that I see this commission having.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, that's number 3 there, Ms. Von Ponce, same question.
The role of the commission and a commissioner is really simple. It's to represent the people that elect them. So let me be clear about that, because I think that is something that gets lost, that basic concept. When you vote for your person that you choose to be your commissioner, their primary role is to represent you. It's their responsibility to advocate for you and what you want to happen with your district, which calls for constant communication. A commissioner cannot represent what you want without asking you what you want. And it's really just that simple. It's not for us to advocate for what we think is right. See, you don't elect us to think for you. You elect us to represent you. So our primary role is to make sure that we do right by you, and we are there to be your representative on the issues, and we're putting forth some of the solutions that you want to see happen. Now, yes, it is my responsibility as a commissioner to make sure that when I am talking with you and you express to me your concerns and your dreams and your desires for your district, it's my responsibility to let you know some of the information that you may not have access to. So I could talk to you about the budget. I could talk to you about some of the holistic visions that we have for Augusta-Richmond County, because what we do in District 1 feeds into what happens to Augusta-Richmond County. It would be my responsibility to make sure that you see the big picture, and then you can see how what we want in our district feeds into that. The other responsibility for me as a commissioner is to make sure that I collaborate. Again, we may have 10 commissioners, but we all have to work together. So District 1, District 2, District 3, we all have to work together collectively to represent the city of Augusta-Richmond County. So my second primary role is to make sure that I know how to collaborate, I know how to negotiate, and I don't get distracted by personalities. I stay focused on the content and what's at hand.
Thank you very much. Of course, I want to remind you, each candidate, you only have 2 minutes. So far, you guys have been doing a fantastic job. Next, Michael Thurman, same question, please.
Well, they've listed several of the specifics that they do. We represent the people, of course. We're policymakers. We need to listen to the people and make sure that we make good decisions for them. But unfortunately, what the commission fails to do quite often is work together. We are the face of Augusta, and the commission is supposed to set a tone in which we are attracting people to move to Augusta, attracting people to be a part of our town, part of our family. And unfortunately, we've been failing to do that in a lot of instances. So in order to get anything passed, a commissioner needs 6 votes. Nothing passes without 6 votes. So a commissioner must be able to work with the other commissioners and understand their points of view, because we all come from different areas, we have different views of things. So we've got to be human beings. We've got to be able to communicate, talk to each other, and make a few concessions here and there, yes, but we really need to focus on what's best for Augusta, not best for a select few people who were in power a long time ago or give friends or so forth special privileges. We need to make sure we do the right things for the people that elect us. It is up to us to move Augusta forward, and only working together are we able to do that. A commissioner needs to make sure that all the laws are being followed. It sets a lot of the laws in the local land, and we need to make sure we don't break them. Unfortunately, we have one commissioner who's being investigated. That looks really bad for Augusta. So we must focus on doing right by the people who elected us. They are our bosses. We need to do what they expect, and we need to make sure that people view Augusta as a place they want to make their home. They want to raise their kids here, and they want to be happy and retire here. Augusta is a great retirement area, and we need to make sure that we let people know Augusta's open for business. Please move here. It's a fantastic place. I've been here 50 years, and I can't say enough great things about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, finally, there, Dolly Jones Frazier. Same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you. The role of the commissioner, to tap on what others have said, is also to raise funds for the city. Things that come up, we have to figure out how they're going to be paid for. So they deal with the budget, the hiring, also maybe even the firing, but anyway, the hiring, the budget for the city, the various codes and taxes, and even the problems that comes up with the city. And of course, when people are applying for their business license, and they all have to come through the city. Actually, even the lawsuits. I say that because we've had some lawsuits, and there have been people that have gone before the commissioner because incidents have happened to them. And you're sitting before the commissioners to say, I fell in the street or wherever. So they have I'm just adding on because they have kind of covered quite a bit of the things that the commissioner does. And I feel that I can actually work very well with the commissioners. My background, I got a little cut off talking slower, whatever. But in any case, I've worked with people, complex people, inside, internally, and externally, working for NYPD within the command and also outside of the command. People that don't have money, unemployment insurance when their checks have ran out. Do they come to the claims examiner and sit with them and rationalize with them until they can kind of get that check or get soothed down until we can talk with them. I've interacted with Augusta Youth Center here in Augusta. I work there with Pat Jones. I also work at the Veterans Home. So I feel that all these experiences that I have, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And thanks to all the candidates there for you. All right, here we go. We're going to with question number 2 now. Remember, we do have 2 minutes on each question, and Susan will be providing that. That is coming to you, Vaughn.
Okay.
The question is, what is a problem facing the city in which you think the business community or nonprofit sector can make a major difference in solving?
I could go very specific or very broad with that question. So let me just talk about in a very broad nature. What local businesses or nonprofits can do to make this city better is provide mentoring, collaboration, and access, more equal and open access to economic opportunities. When we're talking about the fact that our private sector are the ones that support most of the initiatives that we have going on in this city, when we're talking about the fact that we have to deal with the allocation of resources like land and labor, we have to have people that are creative, that are entrepreneurs. What the small business or the private sector can do for this city is mentor those of us that either want to engage in being entrepreneurs, or we can help with the expansion of current local businesses. There are two ways to approach it. You can either expand or you can be creative and bring in new business. So if we're going to choose to expand, we need to expand in a way that is meeting the needs of the community that already exists. If we're going to be creative and bring in new business, we need to attract business that, again, is going to address the needs of the community that already exists. Your people that live within your district are the most important people for any organization. An organization is founded, and an organization gains its success and its competitive advantage from its people. So we have to make sure that we invest in our people in our district so that they can then be skilled or educated enough to get within the local business environment and flourish and then contribute in a positive way. So what local business can do for the community is find a way to build up, invest in the people that already live here, and that will attract new people, that will attract more business. So we can expand what we already have and address needs that currently exist, but also be creative and bring in and entice new business to the area who would not want to become a part of a community that has people that are flourishing and that are successful.
All right, thank you very much. Same question, Michael, 2 minutes.
As I said earlier, I'm a member of the Housing and Community Development Board, and I was privileged to go to several nonprofits earlier in the year and see that they're doing quite a few good things. One group takes people who are recently out of prison and teaches them computer skills and teaches them how to interview so they can get jobs and once again become productive members of society. There's another nonprofit that helps unwed mothers finish their high school diploma, gives them the ability to find child care and gets them back into jobs so that they can provide for their family. We've got nonprofits that help keep kids busy after school so that they don't get in trouble. Gang activity has been increasing dramatically in Augusta over the last 20 years, and they can continue to expand on that to help with the children. Blight is a big problem in Augusta. A lot of nonprofits help clean that up. There's a lot more that they can do. And the businesses can start working with the nonprofits to hire some of these people who are fresh out of jail and who want to do better. They've paid their debt to society, and now it's time for them to get back on in their lives. Unfortunately, a lot of the homeless people here are people who can't get jobs because they don't understand what employers are looking for. As an employer, I've hired multiple people who have been on parole or probation. I've made sure that we're able to reintegrate people into society, and I've had some very good luck, and I've had a few bad apples. But opening our hearts, opening our businesses to people, and making sure that everyone knows that Augusta's open for business. We want your business to move to Augusta. We want to make sure that you know we have plenty of people here to fill any type of needs you have. We have great schools that are making it smart people available to serve your business. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Dolly?
I'd like to have the question recited again.
Repeat the question,
Small
please.
business.
What is a problem facing the city in which you think the business community or nonprofit sector can make a major difference
Thank you.
in solving?
Thank you. What are the problems? Yes. The problems that the city face, many of them, there are many, quite a few. One is the homelessness. Mr. Thurman has mentioned on that. And it is a problem. And how can we work on that as a city or as a, well, I would say a district, a city, because there are many, and that's one of my passions. I have a facility wherein I reach out to people that don't have a place to stay. I think we need a transitional home for our homeless, because many of them, I mean, they are out in the streets and they don't even, maybe they stay one night in the Salvation Army or elsewhere, but they need a temporary place, a transitional place, because they're transitioning in life. And yes, try and get the businesses to mentor or give them a partnership job or temporary job. Also, I think we can come up with a career development agency here in the city, not just for outside employment, but the city can come up with a career development and prepare some of our adults. Be surprised how many adults is not quite prepared, maybe because they missed out on life, whether it was prison or just they fell through the cracks. So we need to also reach out to them and try and get the businesses to partnership and say, well, I would take on this part-time worker for so long, I would groom them. And within the career development I had an opportunity to attend early in life, it prepares you for jobs, even for civil service jobs or city jobs or state jobs. So I think if we do that and partner with the businesses, everything will work out, and at least we'll be helping each other.
All right, thank you. Jordan, do I need to have the question repeated or you understand it? Okay, your thoughts on this, 2 minutes.
Sure. So poverty in Augusta is a real issue, especially in the first district. All of the issues that the other candidates have spoken about tonight pretty much wraps around the issue of poverty. I think that the city needs to put its money where its mouth is and support certain nonprofits that helps us address some of the more pressing needs in this city. You know, for all of my adult life, I was a youth development professional. I've worked with children and families. And what I realized was that children are doing poorly in school because of poor living conditions. I also served as the school council chairman for 2 Richmond County schools, and that notion was validated there. Poverty in households leads to crime in our communities. It leads to low job markets. It leads to a lack of economic development in certain areas. We talk about development in District 1. You know, we say that certain businesses like grocery stores can't come into our area because, we don't have the economics in the area to sustain one. Well, if we're providing job skills trainings for residents, if we are partnering with folks like the Marion Barnes Resource Center and Take Back the Block, other organizations that have our best interest at mind, we would then start to see our community react in a better way to some of our more pressing issues. You know, I was speaking to a mother down in East Augusta, and she told me that her problem wasn't that she didn't have a job, but she said that her job didn't pay her enough. And so because of that, she has to work 2 jobs just to take care of her 2 kids. And typically she's working in the morning and at night, which tells me she's not at home to greet her child before they go to school, and she's not at home at night to put them to bed before they go to sleep. The issues that we face surrounding poverty are real in this district, it's real in this city. And we have to make sure that, number one, we understand what those issues are, and we put in job skills trainings. We work with nonprofit organizations. We partner with the sheriff's office to put in measures like community policing to make sure that our issues are addressed and that bright future that I spoke of earlier, that it is actually becoming reality. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, well, we've had 2 questions now. We're going to get to our question 3 round. And Michael, this is coming to you this time to kick things off, and Supar will present that to you.
SPLOST and T-SPLOST generate significant funding for our county's infrastructure. What do you consider to be the top 3 infrastructure needs for the county that you will advocate for the SPLOST 8 referendum next year? And do you support the T-SPLOST referendum to support regional transportation that will be on the ballot on June 9th?
Well, I'll answer that in reverse. T-SPLOST is a fantastic thing. I remember when it passed a few years back, Columbia County actually didn't really vote for it, but Richmond County carried it through, and now Columbia County realizes how great of a deal it is. We're able to get a lot of things done with that amount of money. So it's a really good thing to do. We've got a lot of problems with the drainage in Augusta. So it's very important that we make sure that with the SPLOST money, we get a lot of that taken care of. It's been years and years. East Augusta, when there's a good hard rain, there's streets that you can't go down. Some people still have water coming in their houses. So definitely some drainage issues need to be taken care of. As far as we're planning on spending upwards of $200 million on a new James Brown Arena. And I definitely think that should be something that needs to be put in the SPLOST so that we are not paying for too much of that through our general funds. We need to make sure that the sheriff's office gets the $1 million that they've asked for the camera system downtown. It's a shame we have cameras all over Augusta, but they're not linked to anything to record. They're only used really during Masters Week to make sure traffic is flowing well. I would like to see Augusta invest in some ways to save those. So if there's an accident, or in case where I had a trailer stolen a couple years ago, we can actually see when they go through an intersection who's stolen these things and or whose fault it is at the wreck, and really help people get to the bottom of what's going on in this town. It'll make things a lot safer. And the sheriff's office also needs police cars. They're driving in cars or missing hubcaps. It's really bad shape, and I've always been a very strong proponent of the sheriff's office, and we need to make sure that they have all the tools that they need, because we want safety. Safety is our priority. So making sure they have what they need is absolutely imperative. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, our next one's going to be Dolly. The same question, please. Do you need the question repeated?
If you wish, and I have to. That's okay, don't worry about it. This is one of the things that I'm directly affected with. This is just a few. I can go in my cell phone and just show you at least 50, 60 pictures of water. I don't have to walk down the block. All I have to do is look out my back door. I go to my front door because the water runs from the street opposite me, come behind the back of my property, my fence row, my utility house, goes to the corner, 2 houses to the corner, comes around the bend, the lady's sick there, and the water is so high that even when our children come to visit her, they cannot pull in front of her door. They have to pull up in the yard. So supposedly about 2.5 to 3 years ago, it was said that a certain corner, Brunswick and Azalea, was going to be the next project. They started. We still paid the taxes and everything, but they left, and they started focusing on Sandbar Ferry, which I know developers are coming in there, but we that are paying taxes and been paying taxes, and the seniors that really don't have anyone to turn to. I have pictures of other people that showed me back of their house where they have ditches and water is coming. This is in East Augusta. Some of the homes you wouldn't even think that this happens when you look at maybe perhaps my house, the front, if it's not raining. But let it rain a couple of hours, fast, quick rain, and there you are. So I feel that we need to stop talking about it and start getting it done. And that's one of the reasons I'm running for commission, not for myself necessarily, but for the whole district. It's time to stop talking about it and start getting it done. Not two projects, 2 corners, and a retention pond, and nothing that's running in the retention pond.
All right, okay, thank you.
I'm aroused.
And Michael, same question, please.
All right. Well, I will echo Dolly on one issue. First of all, Dolly and I are neighbors, and so the drainage runs directly side to my house as well. Our drainage system is clogged in East Augusta, but I do want to say this about that same situation. Years ago, there were streets that you couldn't go on in East Augusta. Today, the rain issue, the drainage, the flooding issue isn't as bad because millions upon millions of dollars have been added into infrastructure renewal in that district, but only because the infrastructure in that district had been crumbling for such long time. But at the top of my priorities as the District 1 Commissioner remains finding right now solutions to eradicate blight across the district. Thousands upon thousands of homes in our district remain blighted, roofs caved in, houses burned, overgrown lots. That presents public health issues, that presents safety issues where crime is concerned. A young lady in Sand Hills called me the other day and told me to go down to Royal Street because she had an issue with a blighted home that was sitting on a street that was crumbling, literally. And when I went out to view that home, sure enough, the roof was caved in, and the street in front of the house, which happens to be Royal Street, was covered in potholes so much that my car caught a flat. And so infrastructure in this county is extremely important, especially where eradicating blight is concerned. Again, no one is going to bring a grocery store into an area where there are blighted houses. No one's going to put beautiful homes in areas that are blighted. Blight is an issue that remains prevalent in District 1. There are more blighted homes in District 1 than anywhere else in this county. And yes, I do support the upcoming referendum. I do support making sure that we have the funds at our disposal to clean up our communities. And that means knocking down blighted properties. That means forgiving their taxes, turning them over to the land bank to be developed, selling them to its neighbor to be developed. But I do support making sure that blight is eradicated, making sure that we continue to invest in mass infrastructure renewal, and making sure that our community stays a great community.
Thank you very much. And to wind up our question number 3, Vaughn, your turn, 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. What I like most about this question is we're talking about infrastructure, which means that we're talking about the things that help the city run and work effectively with productivity. I have probably a different answer than most people are used to. I think the most important infrastructure issue that we need to work on is a communication network, and let me explain that to you. We need to have a way whereby the communication between departments, between commissioners, with the mayor, even between our constituents is much improved, because I'm not so sure that it exists right now. We need something that's accessible and convenient to the constituents. You should not have to leave your job to gain access to a commission meeting to find out what we're voting on. You should not have to find out while you're watching that meeting what our vote is, because again, it's our responsibility to represent you. So our vote should be what you would want to have done for your district as it relates to any issues that we're deciding. So I think a very big infrastructure issue that we need to work on, because you asked for my top 3, my main one would be making sure that we communicate, not just amongst ourselves, because we have access to all the information, but with our constituents in a way that is convenient and conducive. When Mr. Johnson talks about the mother that has to work 2 jobs, I fully relate to that, because I've been that mother. And I know that when I'm so bogged down with trying to support my family and I'm working 2 jobs and I'm working a minimum wage job, at the end of the day, I don't have the energy to try and figure out how I can now gain access to what's going on in my community. So we have to make sure that we're doing things for everyone. That's my first issue. Now, you all know that the food desert and the elimination of that issue is something that's the forefront of my heart, because that would be how I first introduced myself to the commission. I went to the commission to talk about the fact that we have a food desert in this issue, and it's a basic need to have access to healthy food sources. When we talk about a lack of access to healthy food sources, we're talking about our outcomes in life as well. So that would be my second issue that I would address. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. As we start, our 4th question will be presented by Susan. Dolly, you will be starting off this remarks there. Remember, you do have 2 minutes. Susan?
What have you observed to be the strengths and weaknesses of the current annual budget process, and what will be your fiscal priorities, especially in view of a distressed and recovering economy?
Obviously, especially with the virus, the economy, I'm sure, and I'm being honest, I will have to do some investigating on exactly how much the budget for now, the strength and the weakness of it. I wouldn't be able to answer that directly, but I do anticipate, I think anybody anticipate with the virus having hit for the last couple months or so, that the budget is going to take a hole in the budget. And we are going to have to figure out what we do. And I always like to go back to basics, having owned property, managed property, raised 2 children and other foster kids. And whenever there's a shortage in the home, I'll go back to basics. When something is short in the home, you don't have enough money, you either have to, as she said, you got to go out and get another job, or you got to stop doing something that you normally do. So you either have to stop something, cut off something, or you're going to have to take on something to bring some more revenue in. And so as it goes with the home or any other thing, a business, the same thing with the city. And we are responsible for how this budget runs and make sure we don't get in the red. The commissioners have to come up with ways to raise funds, and where the strengths are, then we got to find whatever those weaknesses are. We got to try to build it up with some revenue so that we'll be able to meet the obligations of the city. You know. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Same question, Jordan, 2 minutes.
What I think works is no commissioner now can say that they didn't know what was in the budget or what projects were on, what allocations were coming down the line. There are work sessions after work sessions after work sessions. I had a commissioner tell me once if he went to one more work session, he was going to explode. So the fact that collaboration happens with the budget process is great. If the only way that you don't know what's going on is if you're not doing your research, if you're not showing up to the meetings, if you're not reading your books before commission meetings. But one thing that I do think that the city did well during the coronavirus outbreak is, we stepped up for small business in a sense. I think that once we get ourselves into the mindset that the only thing that matters is green, where the city is concerned, not spending more money than you bring in. You can't do that in your home. So quite naturally, you can't do that as a city. Once we get that into our minds, I think that we'll start seeing ourselves spend our money a little bit more wiser. We'll put more money into areas that it needs to go into versus things that don't really lead to progress in our city. I would like to see more economic development happen. I would like to see us start to work with the Economic Development Authority as well as our local legislative delegation. They have their hands on the pulse of corporations and businesses in Atlanta, and so does the Economic Development Authority. When we're talking about bringing money into the city, a great chunk of the money that comes into our city comes from folks who are not even residents of our county. And so the fact is, economic development has to happen. And when we start to speak on economic development, we typically talk about the Starbucks of the world, the cyber centers of the world, but we don't mention Humanitary House. We're not mentioning places like the State Farm on Broad Street. We're not mentioning places like Rebel Lion and Sirius Sage. We have to make sure that we're supporting small businesses like Show Pony because they infuse our local economy with the dollars that's necessary for us to do our job as a city. And so I would like to see more engagement where small business and regional business development is concerned.
Thank you once again. Of course, Vaughn, your answer to question number 4, 2 minutes, starts now.
Thank you. The strength of the budget process is that it is transparent and that we do have access to where the money is going. The weakness, in my opinion, is that the people don't have input into the decisions that are being made to decide where the money is going to be allocated. That brings me back to the fact that I think we need to have a communication network whereby constituents have input in major decisions that are being made. You see, when you are the one that is having to deal with poverty or lack of access to economic opportunities, when you're that person, what you decide is a priority and what you think should be a line item or what you feel should be allocated differently is a little bit more dear to you and maybe a little bit different than someone that is not. So we have to make sure that every person in the district has the opportunity to provide some input in how money is being allocated in the budget, and that's why I think that's a weakness because that is not currently occurring. Now, what I would like to make a fiscal priority, and yes, I have to say it would be to make sure that we set aside the monies needed to do 3 things. Address the issue that we have not just in District 1, but in every district of the food desert. Again, I cannot stress enough how impactful it is when you are a parent, especially a senior parent, or when you don't have transportation, or you're working a minimum wage job. I can't stress to you how important it is to be able to have access to a healthy food source. When you're a teacher like I have been, and when you are teaching children that come into the classroom in high school at 7:30, and they have not had anything to eat for breakfast, and what they did have, if they had anything, was not a healthy source of energy or nourishment, that is impactful. Those things need to be addressed. The other thing that I would like to make a fiscal priority outside of working to eliminate the food desert is, yes, creating equal access to economic opportunities for everyone in this district. And I must also add, improving the condition of life for our senior citizens.
All right, thank you. And winding up question number 4, Michael, 2 minutes.
The budget process does have a lot of transparency, and there are a lot of meetings. However, I've spoken with many commissioners that when the decisions start to happen, they happen really fast. So we need to break up some of the decisions a little more because they vote on the budget in 1 or 2 sessions and it's over, and there's no room for adjusting. Unfortunately, we have 10 commissioners with equal power, and certain things happen by groups of commissioners getting together behind the scenes, and we just need to make it to where it's more of a democratic way of doing things. The city is going to be in a hole this year because of COVID. A lot of people were paid to stay home, and a lot of people were rightly so paid extra because they were out there dealing with people like our police officers and the hazardous pay. So we need to look at our budget and cut where we can, but we absolutely do not need to cut manpower. Manpower is a priority. Mr. Johnson said something about blight. I believe that if the city starts selling some of the properties that it has and starts opening up some of the blighted properties through the land bank, who are holding 400 plus properties, and other means to individuals, they can start buying some of these blighted houses. They can fix them up and make their dream home, and we don't have to use taxpayer funds in order to do that. That's an easy out, but that's thinking outside the box. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I think that if we open up Augusta and let people know we're open for business, come spend your money here, we get more sales tax. Have more events, we get more sales tax. Invite small businesses to come here. It's hard to build a building here. It takes months and years of red tape. We should do work on getting businesses built quicker, and people will come. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit that we can do to raise money, and we need to make sure that we take that low-hanging fruit and help to get our budget up and balanced. Thank you.
All right, here we are. Okay, we've so far had 4 questions. We are now on question number 5. How do you guys feel? Pretty good? Feel good. You want to keep on going, right? All right, they have a lot on their mind. Okay, this time, this will be question number 5 presented by Sue Parr, and this will be going directly to you, Jordan, to start things off.
Recent events will weigh heavily on the minds of voters as we go to the polls next week. What would you like to share this evening about how you will lead during very challenging times?
You know, that's a great question, Sue, and I say it's a great question because what happened over the last few weeks in America, I understand. I get the frustrations. I understand how people have reacted. I understand not only because I have been there, but because I took the time throughout my professional career and through my personal life to go through the Citizens Police Academy. I sat with Sheriff Roundtree, and we, the board, passed body camera policy, something that remains to be a great triumph for this city. During the times that we're facing, you have to have a leader that's willing to show up, that's not afraid to go out. You know, the other day there was a protest downtown, an impromptu protest, and I was visiting with my mom out in Hepzibah, and I got up and went down to the protest to join. There were 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds organizing this protest, and I was there. I sat with them until about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was there. And as your commissioner, I will be there. I was there when we marched on Washington Road. I was there when we marched at the courthouse years ago during the Trayvon Martin situation. But not only did I march, but I showed up and I put my feet to work, and I helped make policy on the state level, here on the local level. We have to make sure that when folks speak, that we listen. And I will say, I look directly into the camera, and I'll say it again. To those who've been affected by what we're having with COVID, with what's happening with the George Floyd situation, Ahmaud Arbery, we have to make sure that we're listening. And if you have a commission candidate or a candidate that has not spoken about these issues or that have not shown up about these issues, you should reconsider who you're supporting, because we have to have leaders who understand and who will show up and who cares. So in times of hardship like we're facing right now, it's important that we keep a level head, that we listen to people, and we do our best to understand. And that is what I've done my entire adult life, again, by working as a youth development professional, as working as chairman of the Richmond County Democratic Party, working both statewide and locally. I've been there, and I will continue to be there.
All right, thank you. Vaughn, same question, 2 minutes, your response.
Thank you. And it's a very good question because as we are standing here social distancing to inform the district about our platforms, we're also in the midst of people that are really hurting. Leadership is the definition of being concerned with what things mean to people. It's not about managing a process. It's about being concerned with what things mean to people. You have to know people. You have to communicate with people. And if possible, if you have empathy for people, you know how things impact them. So when we talk about what would you do if you were the current commissioner or if you are elected in trying times, it is to remind people that they matter. But better yet, make sure they knew they always did. Now, that's a systemic problem that we have to work on fixing. And I'm very aware of that as someone that used to be a statistic. I can't tell you times in my life over the last 35 years where I had people marginalize me and tell me who I was and what I could be and what my capacity was. I've had people tell me what I couldn't dream of being, and I've heard people tell it to other people. And when you hear things like that and they're reinforced and you look around and you can't find any hope to tell you anything any different, you start to believe what you hear. And then before you know it, you find yourself in times like these where you're having a fight to convince people that you matter. Now, a leader needs to be able to not just sympathize with that, they need to be able to empathize with that. As someone that has raised 2 children, I have 2, one is 20 and one is 30, and I cannot tell you how many times I've had to make sure they were aware of some of the cultural or societal issues that they may come across. A leader is someone that makes sure that people understand they are what matters. They are what drive this district, Augusta and Richmond County. And we have to constantly reinvest in them and make sure they have opportunities and models of hope. Thank you.
And Michael, your thoughts on question 5? 2 minutes.
Could you repeat the question one more time, please?
Repeat the question.
Recent
please.
events will weigh heavily on the minds of voters next week as we go to the polls. What would you like to share about how you will lead during times of great challenge?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, not just one, but 2 major things have happened, both with the COVID-19 and with the senseless murder of a civilian. And we need to make sure that we know that people know that we're human beings just along with them. There have been 2 marches here in Augusta. I attended both of them, and I was there listening. Some people were just upset and crying, and others were mad and wanting to do things. And luckily, there were people there to talk them down and make sure that we knew that this was going to be a peaceful march. So I luckily am blessed that I don't have a full-time job. So I'm able to meet with people at any time about anything. And I'm very focused on setting up meetings so that we can talk with pastors, we can talk with city leaders, and we can understand the needs of the people in a lot more personal way. Unfortunately, it takes mobs or groups of large people making demonstrations to get the point across because people don't want to listen. They get elected and all of a sudden they know everything. I'm someone who wants to understand. I want to listen to your needs. I want to make sure that I'm a voice for you. Once I understand what you require, I'm going to make sure that I help spearhead the solution to your problem. I have a lot of ideas about the city making up for money with COVID-19, but I really want to make sure that people understand that they have an absolute right to protest. If they have one, I'm going to do my best to be there, and I'm going to support the citizens, but we cannot let things get out of hand. We cannot hurt our city because it's our city. It's the places we will be shopping at. It's the places that we live. So we need to make sure that we do things peacefully. So come talk to me, and let's make sure that your voice is heard and your problems are solved.
All right, thank you. And of course, question number 5, Dolly, it's your turn. 2 minutes, please.
Yes. If I were to just sum that up, I would say we lead by example. You lead by example. We shouldn't expect people to go and to do things that we would not go or do. I was also, didn't get into all the riots the protests that was here the last day or two, but I did go to Ormond Aubrey's the memorial service in Waynesboro when we were trying to, with Gloria Frazier and passing the hate crime bill. I was there with that. I have photos here to show. And we have to realize that whatever goes on in our city, if we are a commissioner, we are the leader of that district, we should show up. We should show up whatever it is. I'm not saying you're going to make everything a thing, but you should not lay back and say, oh, just the police will take care of that, the firemen will take care of that. We have to show up to show that we care. And this is what it's all about. People want to know that people care. We all want the same thing in life. Everybody in this room basically have almost a common need. You want protection from the police. You want to feel safe. You want a certain amount of economics in your life. You want nice houses or good jobs or access to education. And a good leader would try to make that happen through either passing whatever laws they need to pass, making I'm thinking of schooling right now, opportunity even through schooling, because I've ran into a lot of adults, I was surprised, that are not able to read and things like that. So we have to come down to that level and try to pull them up. We can't beat them down. We got to come down and say, okay, that's okay, but we're going to get you into a program and pull you back up. So we lead by example, bottom line. I'm sorry. Light look like it goes off.
I have to stop you there. But I love to hear the rest of your statements, but you're out of time there for you. The 2 minutes is up there for you, but hold that thought there. You'll probably be using it later on. We got to move on to our question number 6 for you for this evening. And Vaughn, you'll be replying to question number 6, will be presented by Susan.
Okay.
What do you believe to be the top 3 challenges for Augusta-Richmond County, and what are your ideas for addressing these issues?
Thank you. Well, my top 3 challenges for Augusta would be the top 3 things of my platform, and I made them my platform because I consider them to be the top 3 things. Working to eliminate the issue that we have with the food desert, working to make sure that we create equal access to opportunities, and improving the condition of life for our senior citizens, not just in this district, but entire Augusta-Richmond County. Now, what would I do to work on those 3 issues? Outside of, again, and I can't say this enough, outside of talk to the people within my district and ask them what would they like for me to do about these issues, because see, they may have barriers that I'm not aware of. So as I talk about working to eliminate the food desert, I need to make sure that I'm eliminating the barriers that the people are experiencing, not the ones I think they're experiencing, but the ones that I know they're experiencing by communicating with them. When I talk about trying to find a way to create equal access to economic opportunity, again, I need to talk to the people in the district and ask them what their barriers are. It could be that they are risk averse and they fear taking that leap. Now, with that particular person, I would have someone that has already taken that leap model to them. First, empathize with them, but model with them about how they can make it through. Help build that trust. If it's a financial constraint that they have, now you're talking about working with banks in the communities, or maybe even some of our private citizens that can give out sources of funding, again, to help people get past that barrier of having that constraint. So I would work to eliminate the food desert, work to create economic access, and as it relates to improving the condition of life for our senior citizens, instead of sitting aside and letting a generational approach happen, which is your mother or your grandmother and you need to take care of that person, it takes a village. Now, senior citizens have done their part in helping raise us up and helping us become very productive people. They have given us access to rights and opportunity, and now it's our turn to give them the same thing back.
All right, Michael, your response to question number 6.
Okay. I think one of the primary problems in Augusta, of course, is blight. We've spoken about that a little bit here this evening. I just have a different view on it. I really think that the city, if it just starts allowing people to purchase some of the homes, allowing people to realize that, which I have learned being on the Housing Community Development Board that there are grants and loans that will allow people to fix up blighted houses and make them their dream homes. They don't have to have a lot of money. The land bank sometimes sells houses as cheap as $3,000 or $4,000. People just don't know that this stuff exists. We need to open things up so that people will come and solve the blight problem itself, without the city having to spend millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Being on the Housing Community Development Board, I've also we've been able to entice a grocery store to build in District 1, and it's known as Good Foods Market. And so it will be coming to help with the food desert, but we need more people moving into the area in order for grocery stores to be enticed to move into the area as well. So we definitely need to make sure we do that. But homelessness and blight go hand in hand, and homelessness is a huge problem in Augusta. You can go down any street and see people on the corner, see people sleeping in the empty houses, see people sleeping at the bus terminals. And we need to make sure that we provide a day shelter for them, because unfortunately, in order to get into certain areas, you have to follow rules, and sometimes people don't want to follow rules, thus they're homeless. Sometimes people fall on hard times and they're homeless. So we need to make sure that we tackle those things and make sure that we work together, because the commission has a pretty bad reputation of not being professional, and I think if we change that, if we see that we are professionals and we entice people to move here, that Augusta is going to be just the most amazing city on the planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, Dolly, same question. 2 minutes response, please.
All right. Three things that I feel. And I'm going to go back to, it may not seem to be number one, but safety and protection is one of the things, I guess because I work law enforcement, it's very important. A lot of times crime goes up because of lack of economics. Crime goes up because of lack of jobs, lack of things for children to do, young people to do. And if their needs are met, crime goes down. It goes down. So we need safety. We need protection. We want to feel protected. We don't want to be afraid. Seniors and not some people that are not seniors are afraid. But we need to make our atmosphere fit so people will feel safe wherever they go. If they're shopping on downtown, on the Riverwalk, or just coming in their home at 9 or 10 at night, and they're alone, they need to feel safe. So we need to have police presence, even though there's no emergency. We need to have more police, and I'm for that. And the cameras on the street as well as on the officers, and the officers wearing them, and accountability as well as transparency with the officers. Okay, we do what he's addressed. One way that we could address this blight and homelessness, we can reach out among ourselves. Churches, we can even advertise through churches. Many times churches are able, they have the revenue to buy homes within their blocks, fix them up, and rent them out to the seniors in that congregation or to the poor in that congregation. That's another way that we can address these kind of things. And also, I advocate for the seniors and the homeless.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, Jordan, bring us home on question number 6. 2 minutes, please.
All right. Well, I think one of the biggest issues that I am extremely passionate about in Richmond County is the quality of our education system. You know, people say the commission have no direct responsibility over the school system. That is true in theory. However, I've made it extremely clear that once I'm elected to the District 1 Commission seat, that I will seek to be the commission liaison to the school board. I've seen the struggles that our school system has had to deal with. You know, we can't compare our school system with any other school system in this state. We just can't do it. But even though we have schools that are struggling, we still have some of the best schools in the nation. We have 3 to 4 critically nationally acclaimed schools right here in District 1. So I want to make sure that education is taken serious. You know, when folks come in from out of town, they look at the education system. And not only that, and that leads me to my next one, they look at your downtown. They want to know how downtown looks. I want to advocate for hiring some type of maintenance group to clean downtown up. You know, when something happens in Augusta, we automatically say it happened in downtown. Well, the top of Gordon Highway is not downtown. Downtown is downtown. We need to clean up downtown, and we need to hold property owners in downtown accountable for their decade-long blighted buildings. That's what I intend to do once elected to commission. But something else that I want to make sure that we're clear about is the fact that gentrification is happening throughout District 1 at a fast rate. You know, we talk about housing, we talk about blight, we talk about buying homes. Majority of the people in this district rent. Majority of these people in the district can't afford to buy a home from nothing. So we need to make sure that processes like inclusionary zoning are happening in our city, to where if we're building a high rise or we're building some type of apartment complex, that we're making it to where folks who can't afford $1,500 a month rent can still afford to live next to someone who does. We need to make sure that we're looking after people in the communities who have lived there for decades, who've raised their families in these neighborhoods, and who continue to live in neighborhoods. It's not enough to clean a neighborhood out just to push someone out. We have to make sure that when we clean our neighborhoods and that when we invest in our neighborhoods, that the people who built the neighborhoods can continue to stay there.
All right, thank you very much. Well, 6 up, 6 down. Heard some very interesting statements there for you for the most part. Now we're at our closing remarks there for you. Remember, you do have 2 minutes for your closing remarks for each of you. This time we will be starting with you, Michael, for 2 minutes in your closing remarks.
Well done is better than well said. I've lived my life that way. For 30 years, not realizing it the first 5 or 10, I was tackling the blight issue. I was buying houses nobody wanted, and I was making them pretty again. Now I've done it many, many times, and I want to be the spokesperson for, if I can do it, you can do it. Let's take care of these problems. We need to make sure that we freeze property taxes in the areas that are being fixed up so that gentrification doesn't happen, so that people who've lived there can stay there. We need to make sure that our school system stays strong. As I said, I have 3 children in Richmond County Public Schools, and we need to make sure that we take care of our kids, not just in school, but after school. We need more parks. We need more things for kids to do. But most of all, we need people to know that we are open for business. You may see some things here and there on the news, but Augusta is a very welcoming community. And a lot of times we work as a family. We love people. It doesn't matter if you look like us. It doesn't matter whether you make a lot of money or a little money. We want you here. We want you to be part of our family. We want you to know that Augusta is safer than what you see. Our sheriff has had decreased numbers on almost all crimes every year for 7 years. We are a community that loves to see improvements. So we want you to bring your business here. We want you to raise your family here. And I want you to know that together we can accomplish anything. But if we keep being divisive, then we're going to continue to have the same problems. So please bring your hearts, bring your kids, move to Augusta, and help us grow, prosper, and be the best that we can be. Thank you.
Thank you. Dolly, 2 minutes, closing statements.
I would like to be your next commissioner. And in being your next commissioner, I feel between economic development, our communities can be revitalized for a better District 1. As the developers come in, and they're already here, that they can come into the community and get some common laborers. There are a lot of young men that are not working for just the ordinary jobs. They can pull them in, therefore bringing money into the community. There are seniors that may have, their roof may be leaking, their porch may be a little down or something. They can maybe within X amount of money, X amount of property that they have, go back into the community and maybe fix up 10 senior homes. Economic development. We don't want it, you're taking the seniors out of their comfort zones, and most of the time they're getting the value for their house, not their land. And many of our seniors have not been educated. Even though their house may be running down a bit, the land sitting at the Savannah River is worth much more than their home is. So they've been shortchanged. So therefore, when the developers come in, let them go also and do something in the community for the seniors. Get the young men off the street, those for common labors, and invest back. I welcome developers. I welcome new businesses, and the new businesses can also give jobs to those young people that maybe wouldn't be able to work otherwise. And this is great because, especially in retail, I started out in retail associate, and it's a big help. And young people feel good sometimes just because they have a job. And that first experience, I worked for a judge in Swainsboro, Georgia, my first job, 16 years old. Sometimes just to have a job, it makes one feel better. So we need to do that, and I think if we can do that, we'll be on the road to economic development and also community revitalization for a better District 1 for the love of Augusta.
All right, thank you. You'll be pushing it there a little bit for me, but I'm trying to let you get your final words in. All right, Jordan, 2 minutes, please.
Yes, so, I'm going to agree with Michael here. Well done is better than well said. And because of that, I can stand here and say that I've been working in this community since before I could even vote. My work in this Augusta community started when I was 17 years old, standing in the middle of a busy intersection, taking pictures of potholes to send to a commissioner to get filled. And that is what started my interest in working in this community. When the governor came down and attacked our public schools, I was there. And because of that, the Richmond County Association of Educators has endorsed this campaign. Because of my fight for working families, the local union has endorsed this campaign. Because I stood up and fought for voters who were facing mass purges, Stacey Abrams and Fair Fight came to endorse this campaign. I've been there. I've served this community. I love this community. I love Augusta. And my fight has been recognized, not only just by the 25-plus pastors who endorsed this campaign a few weeks ago, but by the constituents who call me. People like Ms. Safford in Sand Hills, who told me about a stop sign that fell into her yard. We got that stop sign reinstalled. People like Vivian in Laney Walker Boulevard, who is concerned that her house is next to go to some big developer. People like Mr. Johnson and Mr. Schofield in the Augusta Avenue area that's tired of students parking in front of their homes. Folks across this district have reached out to me about their concerns. And listen, this doesn't just happen in District 1. I've received calls all over this city because my leadership has shown. My leadership has been proven. I am committed to this city. I am committed to the people of this county. I'm Jordan Johnson, and I believe that if we come together, we can build a brighter future for this county. We can build a brighter future for this city. We can do it in a way that doesn't leave anyone behind, and we could do it in a way that's progressive and that says Augusta means business. And I want to make something totally clear that once I'm elected, long gone will be the days of Augusta just doing things just to do it. We will be intentional with our approaches, and we will make sure that people are put first and that Augusta becomes that place that we know that she can be. And I thank you for your support in the June 9th election.
And finally, 2 minutes there, Vaughn, your closing statements.
Thank you so much. And I won't need 2 minutes because it is time for change. It is time for diversity. It is time for us to be creative, to think out of the box, and yes, do things in a way that we've never done them before. Why? Because, see, we keep talking about the fact that we want change, but what we have to do is make change happen. Now, as Mr. Thurman said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm asking for your vote because I'm not the same thing over and over again. I'm not the same talking point. It's not about who endorses you. It is about what kind of life you have lived. At 49 years of age, I can tell you my entire life has been about service. So I didn't just decide 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 10 years ago that what I wanted to do was provide service and commitment to my community. It's been my entire life. I chose to go to school for 12 years so that I could be someone to educate because I understand that knowledge is power. I'm the one that chooses to teach the high school children. I am fully aware of the lack of resources that we have in our school system because I'm in there firsthand learning about it and I'm a part of it. We need someone that is not afraid to speak to the real issues. But to not be afraid to speak to them, you have to have gone through them. I have gone through just about every issue in this district, from being in poverty, being marginalized, being judged, and then being at a point where I could give back to other people. I didn't start my nonprofit because I had nothing else to do when I decided to help foster children. I did that because I was trying to make sure that those children had a better life than I did. Everything I do has been about serving this community. This is just another one of those things that I am doing to give back to my community and bring people along with me. I am Dr. Val Pouncey. I am a woman for a change, and I ask for your vote.
Well, thank you very much there. Well, that's all the questions we have for you tonight. I know in the future, in your campaign trail all the way up to Election Day, you'll have a lot more questions being presented to you from the viewers and, of course, all the individuals across the Augusta area. I want to personally thank you for participating in tonight's forum there for you, from our station all the way to our panelists, and also to the viewers that have been watching us here on our Facebook page and also for the Metro Chamber. Supar, I want to thank you, along with Susan. Thank you for supplying us with those very interesting questions there for you. I think we got a variety of answers, and that's what the public needs and wants to hear. I also want to thank the Augusta Chronicle and the Augusta Metro Chamber of Commerce. Now, I want to pass this along to you. We've been coming to you live from this beautiful venue. Let's give them a big round of applause for having us here for this evening. This is the lovely venue of the Marriott in downtown Augusta. Now, we will be back here tomorrow and also again on Thursday. Tomorrow, we'll hear from the candidates from the District 9, and Thursday, the candidates from District 3 will step up to the podium. Election Day is 1 week from today, Tuesday, June the 9th. Early voting is open. Whether you mail in your absentee ballot or vote in person, it's important to make your vote count. On election night, WFXG Fox 54 will be your source for election results, reaction and analysis on TV on WFXG.com and on our social media platform. Download and follow us on the Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. We'll have a wrap-up of tonight's forum coming up on our news tonight at 10 p.m. I have the night off. And of course, I was with you guys. Again, I want to thank you so much because I know you guys are very, very busy, and this is the crunch time of your campaign. Now, what we're going to do now, and I'm going to toss it back to the other studios, to WFXG Fox 54, Jasmine Anderson, who has been standing by with our political analyst, who has been listening and watching tonight's forum and will offer his thoughts on what he heard from the candidates. Jasmine, take it away.
Thank you, Jay. Our coverage of the Augusta-Richmond County Commission Forum continues with Fox 54 political analyst Michael Myers. Now, Michael will be joining us following each district forum this week and on election night next week to help assess the events as they unfold. Now, here's a little bit of history about Mr. Myers. For a brief introduction, he is a public relations strategist. He is the director of operations for M. Myers and Associates, where he handles long-term public relations strategy and social media for businesses, municipalities, and for nonprofits. Michael is also the pastor of Pleasant Rock Baptist Church in 96, South Carolina. Now, we've been sitting here watching this riveting forum. And so I want to kind of go over a couple of things that we've been kind of discussing. Let's talk about a particular question and answer sequence. Do you have one that provided the most insight tonight?
Well, one thing I want to say is what you heard overall. No more politicians. We need problem solvers. The Augusta Commission is a unique body. It can become distracting. Mission of a commissioner being under investigation was brought up. Don't necessarily know why that came into their perspective or why that came into the talk for tonight, but it seemed that there was an overall consensus that there is a food desert in District 1, there is a blight problem in District 1, and we need to figure out what we can do to take care of seniors and youth in that area. So I'm just excited because I think that we are at a place where we're going to see some change. We know that we have to, because Commissioner Flournoy, who in my eyes, he's done a good job. He is termed out. So tonight, to see that people have a serious, I guess, go at it attitude about what they want to do, I think that the discussion, one of the questions, what is an issue? That was a question that came out, and I said, blight is an issue. They said it. I heard it over and over again. The food desert is an issue. So I think that that is going to be the determining factor in this election. They're going to see who they trust to fix the blight problem and fix the food desert problem.
One thing I can say, covering commission, is that a lot of these candidates have actually come to the commission meetings and they sit and listen to the issues. And so it seems, as you said, to echo what you just said, they do have a grip on the district's problems, and they seem to have a strategy on how they plan to tackle them. Did any candidates stand out to you tonight, and why?
Well, let me tell you, I think that just like when the finance reports came out, Jordan and Michael Thurman look good. They look like they stood there and looked like they knew they was talking about it. They stood there and looked like they knew they was doing. Jordan's very polished. He's a very polished young man who seems like he knows the issues. Michael Thurman, he's in the community. He's been in the community. He is someone that listens. One of the things he talked about tonight was making sure that he hears the people, and that's something that I think is going to be something that is going to resonate in the community. Jordan and Michael are definitely two that I think really stood out, not just to me. I saw the comments. I was watching the comments as we were going through this. Dr. Ponce, Vaughn did a great job. There were some issues that she really hit head on. But I truly believe, just like the comments said, I think that somewhat Jordan and Michael somewhat pulled away from the pack in reference to what they knew and what stood out. And people see it. People see it. Yeah.
Absolutely. What more would you have liked to have heard from the candidates?
Now, some of them addressed this, but there was not a full-on throttle, full-on pressed in reference to this issue. Over the last week, especially over this weekend, we have been in an uproar. This country has been at each other's throats, so to speak. I mean, rioting is going on, looting is going on, protests are going on, demonstrations are going on. No one seemed to really address that. And even to the point to where one of the questions came up and said, with everything that's going on, how would you change this leadership? What would you do differently? And I don't think that it was really addressed by anyone. Yes, we all know that there's a problem in the world. There's a pandemic bigger than COVID-19, I think. But even if we want to address that, I don't think that was addressed. And I think that people are looking for answers. With everything that's going on, I think that as a community, everyone is looking for answers. People want to know that they can trust their leader. People want to know that someone has their back. People want to know that their leader is going to be strong, going to stand up for them. And I'm not saying that these people are not going to, but I think that there should have been more of an effort to address that, because it's such an issue right now. It's something that we're all looking at. So because we're all looking at it, make it a part of your question, make it a part of your opening statement, make it a part of your closing. Make it where people know that they can trust you and feel comfortable with you as a leader.
And as a leader, they would be representing such a diverse group of people, so that would be...
District 1, to me, I believe, is probably our most diverse district. You have businesses that flood downtown. You have the community that goes from, to me, the poorest of our community to the richest of our community.
It runs the gamut, yeah.
And I mean, you have people from what people will refer to as the bottom, which is a derogatory term for East Boundary, to the hill, which is in a sense a derogatory term for the area near National Hills. And this is a full gamut of people. So here we go. We need somebody that's going to be able to represent this entire community and understand. One person brought up, and I had some other notes. I want to say it was Dr. Ponce. She said, we need a leader that's not just going to be sympathetic, but empathetic. And I think that those were strong words. I think that really stood out. I think that's going to touch and pull some heartstrings. We have to make sure that in this district, you affect so much. This is our downtown. This is our District 1. This is our old city. This is where we are. This is our community. We see the terms about gentrification going on. We see that there's a food desert. We see that the need for infrastructure. These things were said. People are going to want to know that whoever's elected is going to be able to give them these things, and they can trust that those things are going to happen.
Tomorrow night, we're going to hear from the District 9 candidates. After everything that has been said, what do you expect or hope to hear from them?
Tonight, one thing that stood out, or a few things that stood out, and I'm going to run through those really quick. Jordan made a comment. Jordan said commissioners should be cheerleaders. I think that's very important. Our commissioners should be cheerleaders. Michael Thurman said blight. We need programs that are going to fix our community. I've done it. That's what Michael Thurman said. Dr. Ponce said, there's a lack of nutrition in our community. There's lack of nutrition. We don't have places to eat in our community. And Dolly said, we need programs to take care of our seniors and take care of our children. I think tomorrow night, if the commissioners or the potential commissioners are watching, they need to look at today and see the things that were addressed and know that these are questions that are going to be there that I'm going to have solutions for. I don't need to just be able to recite a question or just say something to somebody. I need to be able to give an answer because people are actually listening. This time, our election, I'm a little disappointed as we talked about earlier. The numbers are very low I believe they're low for this turnout, early turnout. We got to fix it. We got to let people know that an election is going on, but people also have to have confidence in who they're going to elect. They have to have a reason to want to come out. They're going to have some level of excitement. Tomorrow, I'm hoping that the candidates will give us a level of excitement to look forward to.
Yeah, because essentially blight, food deserts, gentrification, we're just talking about one district today, but as our mayor says, we are one Augusta, and if it affects one area, it affects us all.
The mayor brings up that a lot. He says one Augusta, and that's a very strong thing. We are one Augusta. And guess what? District 9 covers District 1, where we have these issues. District 9 covers District 5, where that's an uncontested race, but guess what? There are some of these same issues. We still get into South Augusta. District 9 is a super district. A super district needs a super commissioner. And that's what we got. That's what we need to see tomorrow when the candidates come up and talk. We need to understand exactly what they're going to give us. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to sit down and listen to, just like we did tonight, watch it on live and see. And, the comments, we have to pay attention to those comments because guess what? These are the people that's living in this district.
These are our constituents.
These are the
Absolutely.
constituents. We have to listen to what they tell us.
For sure. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, I look forward to being here tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Thank you all for watching, both on air and online. I hope you'll tune in again tomorrow night where we're going to have another forum with District 9's candidates. So share this on social media and be sure to tune in after our newscast at 6:30.
Thank you for watching the Augusta-Richmond County Candidate Forum, sponsored by Harrington Financial Services.